to introduce Josh Haines, Joshua Haines, he goes by Josh. Josh is the committee chair for the Boy Scouts of the troop that we, the Acton-Boxborough Rotary Club, sponsors. I've been very fortunate where I took over the reins as the charter representative from Johan, because if anyone knows Johan, and we all do, what he passed on to me was meticulous records that were, each page was laminated and it was in perfect order. So then when I met with Josh said, oh, there you go, this is what you do, this is what you do. So thank you, Johan, for passing on perfect records. So it made my job very easy. And I'm just so excited because over the past couple of months, learning more and more of what this particular troop does, Josh's role. He's going to present to us today an overview of that and what we are as Rotarians sponsoring. So welcome, Josh.
Why, thank you.
Thank you. And just a real quick thing, if you'll notice that I'm not going to be pointing this at the screen because Josh is going to send me over the PowerPoint presentation, and then we'll just give it people a link in the YouTube to click on and download it if they want to look at it. It has to be edited to remove photos of
right. So
young people.
Photos of scouts in here that I would want.
Right.
We can use, but
not on
use that.
not on YouTube.
Yeah,
Right.
we
Okay.
should, so. Good. Well, thank you for having me. I'm Josh Haines. I live over in Acton, right there just north of Idlewild. And in the troop here, I have my younger son is in the troop. He's a first-class scout and an 8th grader. And so we'll talk about how the troop works and how the Rotary arrangement works with the troop. And so I have a few slides, as usual, far more material than I need. But I wanted to be able to answer questions, if you have them. So I start with a few pictures. This is just a snapshot of some of the things that we've done recently. In the lower left, and sorry, Steve, I'll just wander around.
That's okay.
In the lower left here, this is Mount Cardigan. This is out at the base of the Mount Cardigan Lodge. This is too. We're camping on tent platforms in tents at a big group campsite. This is out at Mount Greylock, where we hike in. That was an actual backpacking trip where you hike in with your pack and camp, tent camping. We canoe up on the Saco River almost annually, so that's a fall trip. Zip lining out in upstate New York. And then in the center, this is our Camp Acton, right? And so I'm not sure if you're aware, this is conservation land up in Acton called Camp Acton. That's a former Boy Scout reservation. And so there's 7 tent sites in there, 7 big group sites. This is us last December, out at one of those group sites. This is the trip they're going to do at the same site this coming weekend. So we'll be right there this coming weekend for the same type of event. Scouting does involve a lot of sitting around the campfire. So you see that here. So I guess I had a few things that I thought I was going to try to do, but I can react to the questions as well. I wanted to provide a welcome and introductions. I think we just did that. I'd like to talk a little bit about how chartering works, because we refer, the arrangement is that the Rotary Club charters the Boy Scout troop, and we'll take a look at that. Take a look at how our events work, kind of give you a feeling about what scouting is, what the troop does. We'll take a look at the website. We'll take a look at how finances work, because that's an important question. Youth protection is very important as well, so I'll have a slide on that. And there's a slide I slipped in on service projects to give you a flavor of how our service projects line up. This is a little busy, added in at the last minute, but I wanted to try to characterize a little bit scouting, and we call ourselves Scouts BSA now, right? Because we have girls and boys, right? So it's not just the Boy Scouts, it's Scouts BSA is the name of the organization, and we're a boy troop boys. There are 4 troops in town, 3 boy troops and 1 girl troop. So the mission and vision is described here, and this is what you get on the website. Talking about preparing young men, young people, I guess in this case, young people to make ethical, moral choices, instilling them with the values of the oath and law, which are listed there. In the oath, you see kind of the core tenets, some of the core tenets: duty to God, helping other people, keeping themselves physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. So there's this, as you'd expect, there's this person, organization, country, God type of philosophy. All of this anchored in a strong, as you're aware, outdoor activities, outdoor culture, respect for the outdoors, camping, and so on. The one item not specifically listed, as we're all aware, scouting has a lot to do with leadership development. And so you're helping the youth develop their ability to lead in small environments and bigger environments. And so we'll take a look at that. So, as mentioned, and we can dive into the details, the Rotary at the top here, the Rotary Club, charters the Boy Scout troop, and that's an agreement between the Rotary and the Boy Scouts of America. And there's a chartering agreement, and we just went through that process, Steve, Marianne, and myself. And so there's a document which we can look at in a second. And so that creates the Boy Scout troop. Within the Boy Scout troop, there's some important roles, and I've kind of listed them here. There's a troop committee, and I chair that committee. Marianne, as the charter organization rep, sort of the assigned representative to the troop, sits on that committee. We have adult leaders on the committee, of course, secretary, treasurer, myself, that sort of thing. We have scoutmasters, right, adult uniformed leaders, as we call them. They're the ones out there in the woods helping the boys learn, grow, keeping them safe, really providing opportunities for learning and growth, right? And then there's the scouts themselves. And so the core of the troop is the scouting leaders and the scouts themselves. And so really all of this infrastructure around them is to make sure that the scouts have a place to learn and grow, explore the outdoors, be safe, do projects, and advance. So that's kind of how leadership works. The Boy Scouts of America call out a kind of a special designation of the so-called key 3 leaders. And so if there's something that's critical or time sensitive, decision, for example, the key 3 are myself, Dave Claddy, the Scoutmaster, and Marianne, the Charter Org rep. And so we come together, we make that decision. We don't do that often. We sort of did that when we were talking about rechartering recently. So that's kind of how it works. We are rechartering 25 scouts currently, which is what we have on the books, and many of them are active. One of the things that I think we do better as a troop, not that we're competing, one of the things I think we do better than the other troops is that we have a higher fraction of scouts active all the time. We'll get a large portion of those 25 scouts at every meeting and at many of the events. And so that's very important to us. Helps with recruiting too. So this is important. This is as strong as we've been in years, right? We had been, much smaller, say 5 years ago, 5, 6 years ago. It was more like 12 scouts. So this is very good. This is a graphic that says the same thing, only that I borrowed this from someone else's website, so I won't get into it. The key passage from the chartering organization agreement, and they've updated this recently, to add that part of the top. You don't have to read it. Marianne has printouts. We can read it later. And you can get this on the internet. The local council, see it says the local council agrees to. That's the local council of the Boy Scouts. In our case, the Heart of New England Council. Sort of a large chunk of the middle eastern part of Massachusetts. The local council agrees to provide primary liability insurance. And then it details that insurance there. That's right there in the charter agreement. Didn't used to be. They've obviously added it so that it's easier for me to have this very conversation. So you can evaluate or inspect that. But that's one of the most important things that Boy Scouts provides in this agreement is that insurance. The chartering organization is, and there's a longer list. The chartering organization, agrees to use scouting to further the chartering organization's aims and values for youth. Utilize the scouting program, conduct scouting in accordance with the program, that sort of thing. So that's kind of the chartering arrangement. And so that's sort of the basis for the relationship. I wasn't going to go into a whole lot more detail, although everything in the presentation derives from that agreement. Does that make sense? I know there's been. So we'll go into some overview to describe how the troop works and all that, and then we'll revisit the finances and the youth protection at the end. So just to give a flavor, just like the Rotary, we have our rhythm of events. We meet weekly as a troop, 7 to 8:30. We're currently meeting at Faith Evangelical. I don't know if you know that church. It's up off of Hosmer. Hosmer? Yeah, Hosmer. Yeah. Excellent location. We have a couple of families who go there as a church. It was easy for us to get connected. So 7 to 8:30, we're down in the back in the classroom area. We used to meet pre-COVID at St. Elizabeth's. St. Elizabeth's is still not allowing anyone in. They have services and that's it. So that's unfortunate, but that's their decision. We have monthly outings. I'm sorry, was there a question? Yeah. So we have monthly outings, which are announced on our calendar, and so that's an overnight event, a camping trip, as it were. We meet. We will only carry out these events when there is school, right? So we don't have Thursday meetings if there wasn't school on that Thursday. We don't have monthly meetings unless it's a school month. So June, July, and August July and August we take off. Thursdays during school vacation we take off. Snow day on Thursday we take that off. So that's the rhythm. And so we'll go over what some of these monthly outings have looked like to give you a flavor. Patrol meetings, I guess I didn't have a whole briefing on the patrol method, but a Boy Scout troop is broken up into patrols, and so you have a senior patrol leader and an assistant senior patrol leader over the whole troop, youth leaders. And then within each patrol you have 6, 7, 8 scouts with a patrol leader and an assistant patrol leader. And they're carrying out their own parts of the scouting program too. They'll have meetings as coordinated by the patrol. And then all of these scout leaders come together monthly, in our case, for a patrol leaders council, and that's where they plan out, the next month worth of events. They plan out, hey, we've got a troop meeting coming up, let's focus on first aid and, whatever. And then they assign it to someone, and one of the scouts comes up with the event. For the most part, these troop meetings are entirely Scout conceived of, Scout developed, and Scout run. So quality varies, right, quite a bit, but that's fine. I mean, sometimes they walk in and no one's prepared anything, and they go to some backup plan. Other times, you hit the ground running and it's a great meeting. So that's they're learning. They're learning. The below Patrol Leaders Council, I run a committee meeting monthly. Post the minutes on a Google directory and so on. Happy to share those if you'd like. We have an annual event at Camp Winoxet, a full week of camping. Camp Winoxet is the local Boy Scout camp up in New Hampshire. So that's everyone goes up there for a full week. Sometimes we do summer outing. And the other important meeting is an annual planning conference where you get that same kind of Patrol Leaders Council together, but in this case you plan out the whole year worth of monthly events. In that case, right, the scouts are coming up with ideas, and me and the committee are out making the reservations and getting the plans and the logistics and how are you going to get there and right, that sort of thing. So there's a balance, but as much as possible you're trying to get the scouts to do their leading, right? So there's as much about personal ownership, like that mission and vision, as there is about overall organizational leadership. A lot of words, so I'll just speak to them. Some of the events, this is our year this year. This is what's happened in the past and planned in the future. In September, we did that Saco River canoeing trip, which I talked about. That's an overnight canoe partway down the Saco. Rent canoes partway down the Saco, camp on the sand, canoe part the rest of the way, and get picked up. October, we go out to the Herkimer Diamond Mine, upstate New York. Herkimer diamonds are clear quartz. And so it looks like a diamond because it's crystal clear. And so the kids, scouts, spent some time banging rocks, cracking open these geodes, and picking out these little Herkimer quartz crystals, Herkimer diamonds. They love it. It's a perennial favorite, even though it's a 4.5-hour drive. I'll talk service events in a minute, But our fall service event is a cleanup at Church of Good Shepherd. And so the reason it's Church of Good Shepherd is because they store our trailer. We have a trailer with all of our gear in it. That lives at Church of Good Shepherd. So that's why we do the cleanup for them. It's also, as you're probably aware, the church with the most trees around it. So it's got to be the worst church to clean up.
And we thank you for doing it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So good. So we did that recently. Leaves fell late this year, so we pushed it back as far as we could. November camping trip was Mount Cardigan, which we just talked about, and I showed a couple of pictures. December will be Camp Acton at that site that we had the picture of in the middle. That'll be fun, nice and local, easy to do that trip. It gets cold, but they're tent camping and they're close to home, so they can bring all the blankets and everything they need, right? So that should be fun. Our January event, from a fundraising perspective, is the Christmas tree pickup. We now do that with Troop 1. It was our event for years, and now we collaborate with Troop 1. You'll see the banner up over Main Street. If you're in Acton, you'll see the banner at the transfer station. I hung the banner at the transfer station, right? And now you'll start to see the flyers at Kookaburra Farm, and Idlewild, maybe the Lions Tree Sale, I'm not sure. So that's our fundraiser. And so that's a lot of fun, because it basically you just organize and everyone gets you get trucks and crews, you're piling trees into trucks and bringing them to the transfer station. First time this year, that fundraiser will also pick up in Boxborough and will drop off at the Boxborough transfer station. So that is awesome. So it's a real two-town event. We're not slipping a few Boxborough trees into the Acton transfer station, which I feel better about. And so that should make it nice. That should make it a nice event. Right. January will be the camping. I just made these reservations right here. I just made this reservation at Knob Scout Reservation down in Framingham. So that's, well, you can look up where it is. It's tucked down there in Framingham. And they have maybe a dozen cabins and 18 or 20 campsites. It's really an enormous reservation. And so we have reserved a cabin, kind of 18 people sized, next to the pond. Should be beautiful. Hopefully we don't have variants that suddenly cancel it all. But that looks like a great reservation. February we do. February is even colder, so we do a lock-in event, which is at an indoor gym called Ultimate Obstacles down in Boylston, West Boylston. And so Ultimate Obstacles, sort of an indoor ninja gym. Kids have a great time. Yeah. It's also a recruiting event. We invite all of the Webelos who are recruiting to become Boy Scouts. We invite them to the event. So that's Ultimate Obstacles. February. March, I think I'm supposed to be reserving cabin camping up in New Hampshire with some snowshoeing. That should be good at this place called D Acres. April is, so traditionally April, Acton would host, Troop 1 would lead Acton in hosting the Isaac Davis Camporee. That looks like it may have been, that may have gone, unfortunately, due to COVID. So, right, it just doesn't look like the organizers are going to come back. So that's too bad. But we may substitute a 4-troop event at Camp Acton, which would be really cool. We'd have all 4 troops, 1, 32, 284, and the girls troop 12 at Camp Acton together. That'd be great. So we'll see if that works out. Our service event there is the spring cleanup at the church. May we'll do backpacking with Mount Greylock. It's been a few years since that picture I showed you, so we'll bring those guys back and see how that goes. And then June will be a 2-night trip out to Martha's Vineyard, which is a bike trip. So we all get down there on the ferry with the bikes, ferry across to Martha's Vineyard. You're biking around the island. It's great. So that's kind of how this works. From a COVID perspective, the note here, right, we use all the local, town, state, federal guidance. Currently that means we're suggesting masks for everyone, mandating them for people who aren't vaccinated, right, for indoor events. So So I had a couple things I wanted to mention on service projects. This slide is subtly different than the one in the printouts, I'll bet, because I sent this at 11:30.
It's the same. I got your most recent one.
Wow, that's awesome. All right, good. So there's kind of three classes of service project that we do that I've listed here. There are the major bullets there on the left. We have troop-wide events like these cleanups at the church. And the first picture there is us 2 weeks ago at Church of Good Shepherd with our rakes. There are Eagle projects, and Eagle projects, as you're aware, Eagle Scout is the top rank in scouting. It comes with a major project requirement, kind of a culmination of the Scouts sort of, that youth's progression through leadership is to lead an Eagle Scout project. That's a pretty intense endeavor, because they're asked to plan and conceive of the event with the beneficiaries and with the fundraising people or whoever's going to procure the funds, and then the crew that executes it, right? And so all of that goes into this Eagle Scout project proposal. I just have the cover page here. That's kind of 8 pages of text that's describing what they're doing, why it's important, who benefits, what they planned it out, what are the risks, how are they going to mitigate those risks, all that jazz. So, it's pretty intense. The example I show here, these two photos, so this particular scout is going to build a crushed gravel walkway at at the Arboretum. And he's going to connect the end of this boardwalk out to this trail so that when it's wet and muddy, handicap access can be had across this sort of chunk, right? And so his project writes this all up in gory detail. Here's some scouting photos, right? So he's working that through, and that is this one, right? This one, gravel path in the Arboretum. Another example of a recent Eagle Scout project was a picnic table building, and those picnic tables are up in West Acton. This is actually the staining of those tables a year later. You let the wood sort of, cure, and then you put the stain on. That's what's happening here. But the tables were an Eagle Scout project referenced there. I do have a project that needs a sponsor, and we have a scout who wants to do a STEM-oriented sort of, multiple station event, free event, some weekend in the, I'm not sure, late spring.
2 minutes?
Oh, sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, some weekend, I wasn't sure. Some weekend in the late spring. And so he needs a beneficiary for that. And the problem is he needs an organization that claims they benefit from it. So it may or may not be the Rotary, but I need help thinking about it. And then you have individual scout projects, right? Individual projects like, this is my son and I getting service hours for his next rank, building or repairing a boardwalk in the conservation area. Advancement, those are our current ranks and number of members in each rank. That's our Eagle Scout trophy. We have a long and storied history. The little plaques on that go back 20 years. We have an excellent website. Happy to have folks peruse that. Can give you guest passes if you want to check it out. Brand new website. This fellow dedicated an awful lot of time and effort to making that happen. It's a recruiting brochure, which I'm happy to send, of course. That's for this year. Finances, we can review this, but in the name of time, I guess I won't. And logistics. You, the Rotary, approve all of our adult leaders. Anyone who's really working with Scouts is a registered leader approved, signed by Mary Ann or Steve, or earlier by Ann and Johan. Anyone going on an overnight event with us has taken this youth protection training, whether or not they're also a member. And then if they're a member, they've taken the youth protection training and have a CORI background. Youth protection training is kind of an hour-and-a-half computer-based training. Hits on a number of major points, many of them shown here. All right, that's what we have.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
Well, I guess nobody else here. I was a scout from 8 years old until 15. And we travel, we went to Switzerland, Austria, and Spain. I mean, I'm telling you, it was different time then. Only thing you need is the individual that was carrying us had the responsibility for the kids and everything, and we went everywhere.
2 flags.
We
Nice.
very nice.
Yeah.
I'm very, very happy that you have 25 people. We only have about 14.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We do high adventure trips. I didn't list them. We have a crew going to Sea Base in Florida, spring break in February. And then we have a crew planning for Philmont the following summer.
Josh, I was a scout and we had to rub sticks together to start a fire. Can you use lasers now to do that as a scout?
we don't use lasers for that, but I do see a lot of flint and steel,
Oh, okay, that's.
and they make some pretty fancy, click lighters these days.
Oh, okay, that's cheating, isn't it?
I know. It's cheating. There's still no gasoline.
Any other questions?
I have one very quick question. When you're looking for that beneficiary sponsor for that Eagle Scout STEM project, is it a monetary sponsorship or a like a relationship, as in this is a beneficiary that could use this service?
That's right. This is a beneficiary can use the service. It's not
Okay.
financial. Yeah, I'm sorry. If the scout needs to raise funds, that's their problem.
Okay.
It's somebody has to claim that's beneficial for my organization.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, big round of applause for Josh and for the Boy Scouts.